Chapter 13. When all the requested adventurers arrived at the third floor of the dungeon, Christina instructed all the leaders to make a group that consists of different type aura users, and there should be at least minimum of 2 healers in each group, and the formation of the group its Yuan and Adam is in the same group along with the 5 high-level rankers. Their party is led by Mr. Vinsmoke, a ranker wielding a giant metal pipe and utilizing smoke as his weapon. His ability allows him to manipulate the smoke into various shapes, which can act independently once commands are given. And Ms. Nana, her weapon is a flute, which can control the environment and create a powerful army made with her aura that emerge and attack people that threaten her. Mr. Patchy, a ranker using advanced enhancement ability and specialist in hand-to-hand combat, is also the tanker of the party. Also, Ruby is at their party, and Mr. Hansol, a ranker who uses dual sword and is enhancer type aura manipulator. 10 groups of rankers were dispatched to explore and map out the 4th floor of the dungeon. Some of them were even skilled cartographers who could map out the entire floor. After a week of waiting, one of the groups returned with a comprehensive map of the area. It revealed that the 4th floor covered a land area of 11,610 square kilometers, which was equivalent to the size of a small country. The party was shocked by the enormity of the dungeon. Another group also arrived and estimated that there were about hundreds or million monsters inhabiting the floor. Christine organized another meeting to discuss the dungeon and its inhabitants, and the other leader said that upon the surveillance most of the monster in that area is not that strong. The main issue lies with the leaders of each tribe, as some of them are categorized as AS. Another report states that there are 6 powerful beasts guarding the central area where the king and queen of the tribe reside. These beasts have a remarkably strong aura and are on a different level than others. The report recommends calling in more reinforcements due to their strength. The group unanimously decided to report the situation to the association and advised the other team to further explore the area without initiating any conflict. Meanwhile, Yuan and his team began their own exploration and discovered a vast number of monsters. Vinsmoke noticed the multitude of creatures and suggested to Ruby that they create a dimensional box to trap the monsters. Additionally, he suggested using a fog to conceal the hole in the ground from the enemy to avoid raising any alarm that their group had already attacked. Ruby arranged 10-dimensional portals, and as the enemies fell into them, Patchy inquired how many monsters Ruby's dimensional space could hold. Ruby replied that it could accommodate approximately 1,000 monsters. Patchy then requested that Ruby teleport the other monsters to him inside the dimensional box when he instructed her to do so. He added that he wanted to use them to warm up his body. Ruby acknowledged his request with a nod. As Patchy remained inside the rift, he systematically killed each monster and urged Ruby to teleport in more enemies. Meanwhile, Vinsmoke utilized his smoke to suffocate the monsters within the rift. Additionally, Nana played her flute to pour water into the rift, and subsequently summoned a flesh-eating sea creature that devoured the monsters one by one. After that, the remaining monster that didn't drop to the rift, killed by Hansol using his dual katana covered with aura, while Yuan and Adam surveying in the forest. One on the enemy spotted them and they are using Snipper Riffle as their weapon. Yuan hides on the tree and Adam said leave it to him. Adam is dashing toward the position of the enemy he got hit on his shoulder. The trajectory of the bullet came on the other side. Adamus is Khan, while on the awakening form, he sensed that the enemy is using Space Rift to change the trajectory of his bullet so that it is not easily detected. Adam hides in the bush while the enemy is waiting him to go out the bush. He heard a voice saying, "Are you looking for me?" and Adam twisted his neck. Yuan informed the group that the enemies were already aware of the outsiders' presence in their territory and had been watching them from the start, waiting for an opportunity to strike. Although Vinsmoke had already relayed this information to the other team, unfortunately, some members had already been killed and eaten by the beasts. Vinsmoke informs the others to fall back for the meanwhile and set a new strategy. Ruby received a report that some of the adventurer is missing and requests the assistance of Yuan and Adam to go with him. Vinsmoke responded, "Is it fine to let this two kids to with you?" He requested to Yuan ability to sure, and request Yuan to show him his skill. Yuan immediately activated his thread skill, and he emitted a huge force of aura that almost blew away Vinsmoke, and he responded, "Is it fine?" Vinsmoke responded, "Yes, I'm already satisfied." Adam said, "It's my turn now." Vinsmoke said, "It's fine, no need to demonstrate your skill. I know now that both of you are strong, but still be careful. The leader of this monsters is strong, and the Guardians is on a different level." Upon reaching the western part of the forest, the group discovered a human bone stained with fresh blood. Yuan noticed a chain on the bone that looked familiar. It belonged to the third group of adventurers. Adam pointed out that there were only 2 sets of bones in the area, which meant that the rest of the group may still be alive. The group activated their auras to sense any signs of movement or life in the area. Yuan enhanced his senses and heard a faint female voice. He informed Ruby and Adam that there was a possibility that some of the adventurers were still alive, and they headed towards the eastern part of the forest. There, they found a cave, and Yuan was able to sense the voice from that location. Ruby suggested that the group to split up and activate their communication cards so that they can easily track each other. As they entered the cave, the enemies sensed their presence, and Ruby encountered a male humanoid with a spider-like form. The creature attacked Ruby immediately and used its web to restrict Ruby's movements. Ruby opened her pocket storage, then she bring out her weapon. It's like a orb. The enemy laughs at her weapon. Ruby just smiled. Then he continues attacking Ruby. While she's on defensive mode looking for an opening, she created multiple rifts. Then, while the enemy is near to one of her rift, Ruby instantly teleported the ball. Then it exploded like a grenade with shrapnel's mage with aura. Despite the enemy's defensive aura blocking most of Ruby's attack, she managed to inflict some damage. The enemy responded by using their web to quickly move to another location and sharpening it into a deadly weapon, while also imbuing it with aura to increase its destructive power. Mocking Ruby, the enemy declared that she was trapped and had nowhere to run. Undeterred, Ruby smiled and confidently held the orb, promising to give the enemy a special gift, a slow and agonizing death. As the enemy charged towards her, Ruby cast a spell that imbued the orb with the power to create a suction force that drew in everything in its path. The enemy confidently declared that he could not be pulled in due to his web, but Ruby corrected him by explaining that she had no intention of sucking him in. Instead, she pointed out the wounds on his body from the earlier explosion and allowed the suction force to draw out his blood until he perished. Ruby then communicated with the 2 boys, informing them that no bodies of adventurers were found in the area. Adam reported that he had found one survivor, but before he could say more, a figure suddenly appeared before him with lightning speed. Adam informed Ruby that he would explain later, but before he could move, the female humanoid with a mosquito-like appearance attacked him, stunning his left leg with poison. The insectoid creature continued to attack Adam, using her tail to stun his other leg and informing him that the poison was spreading to his arms. She taunted him, brandishing her sharp tongue and declaring that it was time to suck you blood, baby. As the insectoid creature moved closer to Adam, her attention suddenly turned inward as she realized that her own head had been detached. Adam explained that one of his special abilities was immunity to poison, no matter how potent. Then he called Ruby to regroup with him and move towards the Yuan area, as he had detected the presence of multiple enemies there. Yuan was enraged when he arrived at the scene and found that only 3 of the adventurers were still alive, while the others had been devoured by the enemies. He activated his thread skill, and the 4 beast-like creatures with quadruple arms began to emanate a powerful aura. They charged towards Yuan, but he easily passed through them. One of the creatures urged Yuan to stop pretending that he had not seen them and just fight, but Yuan warned them that it would be in their best interest not to move. He then proceeded to heal the wounded adventurers. Despite Yuan's warning, the enemies continued their attack, but their bodies were quickly sliced into pieces. Yuan not only evaded their attacks with ease, but also planted his threads throughout the area to gain further control over the battle. Yuan used his communication card to contact Adam and requested assistance in rescuing the captured adventurers, as there was still an enemy detected in the area. While Yuan was in the large hall, he spotted Ruby and she informed him that there were around 200 enemies present. Ruby also shared her plan with Yuan, who agreed to finish them off within her rift. Once all the enemies were trapped inside the rift, Yuan stepped inside and activated his thread skill, Devourer. This allowed him to absorb the enemy's ki and turn it into cores, the quality of which depended on the strength of the enemy. As soon as he activated the skill, his threads began slicing through all the enemies inside, and within a minute, they were all dead. Yuan emerged from the rift, and Ruby asked if they were done. He confirmed that they were, and instructed her to close the rift as it was now completely empty. With a smile, Ruby agreed, and the two of them headed back to the camp. Upon their arrival in the camp, Christine said that they got the report from the group, and it confirmed there is 6 Guardian in their place protecting their king and queen. The Guardians is powerful, which we can compare to a S-class ranker. The queen is an ordinary monster only. But the terrifying is their king. His power is unmeasurable, and there is an order from the association not to go further and try only to minimize their number as possible. There will be a high-ranking rankers that will come within a week, and for the meanwhile, avoid attracting enemy attention as much as possible. After a week had passed, the elite rankers finally arrived at the scene, including the chairman of the association, Mr. Gunther, who rode on top of a dragon made from his aura. They headed towards the main castle where the enemy's king resided. Meanwhile, the other rankers blocked the boundary from the guardhouse to the castle to prevent the 6 guards from eating their king. Yuan and his team are currently stationed in one of the guardhouses, where they plan to face one of the guardians who is protecting the enemy king. They aim to split him up from his 3 subordinates, who are all at S-level category. Meanwhile, Christine's group is located in another guardhouse, assessing the enemy's presence in their area. Another group is also positioned at a different guardhouse, preventing any attempts from the guards to aid their king. On the opposite side, Gunther was making his way towards the main capital where the king was located. He utilized his meteor shower skill, destroying the entire castle in the process, which resulted in the death of the queen. This caused the king to lose his focus, and he immediately surrounded his body with an immense aura while staring sharply at Gunther. Gunther jumped from his position, surrounding his entire body with an aura as he fell. He used the momentum to increase his attack and focused all of his aura on his foot, aiming for the king. The king blocked his attack with both arms, causing a massive impact that nearly damaged the entire castle. Yuan and his team are focused on separating the guardian from his subordinates. To do this, Vinsmoke employs his smoke skill, which decreases the enemy's visibility, while Ruby creates a trap in a rift to make it easier for them to kill one of the subordinates inside. They successfully trap one of the subordinates inside the rift, as the enemies are also in a state of panic due to the attack on their capital. Meanwhile, Yuan captures the other subordinate using his thread, while Vinsmoke tries to distract the guardian. This is the end of this chapter. Thank you for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe.